I want to give you a bit of a showcase of how Frostfire is looking like the playstyle is on the beta. Hopefully I'll have some full and plus videos for you soon, but beta and plus gets a little wonky. So what we're gonna do right now is I'm just gonna give you a little bit of commentary over a little bit of dungeon until IDC. With Frostfire, there's a couple interesting things about how you play. First of all, you most likely are going to want to use Icy Veins right before they put the key in, because it gives you a Flashfire or Frostfire Empowerment buff, which is your instant cast Frostfire Bolt that does AoE damage, increased damage, and then also gives you a buff essentially to your Flurry and your Ice Lance. So you get one of those when you press Icy Veins, and it carries over to when the key starts. So you can see I have it here. And then as we're walking in, I'm just going to use it to fully stack everything. But yeah. If you don't have it, it's fine, because I would have gotten full stacks anyway when I do my kind of cold combo. Realistically, I maybe could have saved it, to be honest, because when I activate Icy Veins, I'll get another one, so I could have refreshed the duration, because they stack up to 2. And then I could have gotten the buffs from my kind of cold combo, and then use those ones. That might be what we end up doing. They have a relatively low proc right now. I think it's 1.2 procs per minute. So you could overcap in that situation, but maybe not. It's very guaranteed developers there. But yeah. So Frostfire is going to play very similar to the way that we currently play. Some of the things you'll see me doing that are a bit different is what I just did, which was I shattered my excess frost proc. So this excess frost proc, what this does is it makes it so your next flurry, you do an Ice Nova as well that does 200% damage. That's a lot of damage. And Ice Nova is an uncapped ability. So what I like to do generally is, after I Cone of Cold, I do my Comet Storm, my Orb, I have my Excess Frost, and I generally flurry into this because all these targets have Winter's Chill. So my Ice Nova is just going to shatter, right? So I flurry, and my Ice Nova just shattered against all these targets. We put my Blizzard up. I'm at Iceland. It's going to use this Fire buff, which is going to put a Living Bomb on the targets. And that's just going to give me a Brain Freeze buff. It's not too important. What I've been doing so far, generally, is I've been using the Frostfire Empowerment buff into a stack of Shatter. You might not do that. Really, there isn't that much benefit to using it for Ice Lance, because in AoE you have permanent Fingers of Frost anyway, essentially. So, and I found that this buff can do a pretty decent amount of AoE damage, which is why I do that. Just for the fact, it's just generally better to get it off sooner, so then you're more prepared and everything. Because I am playing Glacial Spike here, not that it seems necessary. It does seem strong for single target damage so far, but I've had success not running Glacial Spike too, which I'm sure you'll get a video of at some point. But yeah, with Glacial Spike you have to be wary, because you want to use this buff, but you also don't want to overcap on Icicles. So I'm at 3 Icicles right now, so I essentially want to Flashfire Empowerment and then Ice Lance, and I'll be at 5. The reason this is kind of important is this will give me my excess frost and fire buffs again. And your excess frost buff is a flurry that casts Ice Nova. If you're not familiar with why that might be very important for Glacial Spike, the big thing is that oftentimes in Mythic Plus, you're hitting a main target that is unfreezable, and all the off targets are freezable. So your main target, you need Flurry to shatter against them, and your off targets, you need a Root to shatter against them. So with Excess Frost, you have both. Okay, so you can see here, I Flashfire Empowerment into that Shatter charge. This weak word is bad. And then ideally here I would Ice Lance and then Glacial Spike Flurry. I Flurry because I'm not entirely used to everything. And now I get a bit worse of a shatter on my Glacial Spike, essentially. Yeah. Yeah. But we're doing a lot of damage. That's nice to have Frostfire Frost. And look how much Icy Veins time I still have left, right? Frostfire Frost is very, very strong in AoE. It's still good in single target. It's normally just not insane in single target. One of the things that's really annoying in some of these dungeons is you just blink in place. That happens a lot. So yeah. But I rather like these excess empowerment buffs. They just feel nice. They give you something to look forward to really in your rotation. I have been finding it a bit odd to use shifting power though with everything that's happening. And the other thing is excess frost gives you CDR and Comet Storm, which makes things really awkward, in my opinion, because normally with how you use Comet Storm, you are um, using it once between all your kind of gold combos, and now depending on your excess frost procs, you might be able to use it twice between your kind of gold combos, and it's just a little strange. I just got a time anomaly proc for Icy Veins, and that does give you a flash or Frostfire empowerment proc, which I really hope they keep in for two reasons. One, it just feels good. It feels really good to get these instant Frostfire Bolt procs and have much stronger effects on your spells. But also, Spellslinger gets a lot of value from its time anomaly Icy Veins procs because it gets to generate double splinters during that time. So, yeah. This is a cool dungeon. You kind of hop on your hippogriffs and then fly places, but you can, run into things at high speed, and then lose you'll crash, which is a kind of known bug for dragon riding. But yeah, so you fly between these ships, and then you end up doing a bunch more AOE. You can just land and you do another AOE pack, which is fun. But you're just gonna see even more Frostfire madness. Here I do it correctly where I Ice Lance to 5, and I'm going to use this excess Frost proc with a Flurry after my Glacial Spike. Perfect. I tried to do it again there, but I didn't have an Ice Lance, so I actually unempowered Ice Lance, which is a bit of a problem. But yeah, it's just, it's rather strong. And I'm definitely not using, the best trinket combinations and everything. I might show you a little bit of this boss, but it's going to be rather rough. So you cannot blink over this thing. Ready? See, you're gonna take a lot of damage. This boss fight's pretty cool, I think. Aside from the fact that you can't blink over that, this would have been a really good time for me to um, shifting power. So, and I did it. It's a little annoying that it highlights your ice lance and everything, even if you don't have a means to shatter it. So, still getting used to that kind of. You can just blink like this, and then you'll be totally fine. If you move even just a little bit more, you'll be even more fine. So, yeah, and you definitely want to be baiting these things on the side. That is a really annoying situation where I don't have the means to shatter Glacial Spike or shatter my Ice Lance or my Flurry, and then I just get a Frostfire Power proc, and then I literally have to press Frostfire Bolt. I don't have anything else I can press. Sometimes you can shifting power, or like I almost said, or honestly, in this situation, and I'll send this, but at some point. But I have Ray of Frost up. It might be worth it for me just to send a dry Ray of Frost, so I don't waste these. Probably not. Ray of Frost is again a very very significant portion of our damage, but these are also really strong. Because I essentially lose a brain freeze from that as well. And then he takes like no damage and just doing like a little explosion thing. You have to like fly up here. I don't know what picking up these things do, but it gives you damage buff like Tendril. This is pretty cool. And then when this ends, you just come back, so you can kind of game it a little bit to get back a little earlier. You can see some of these people are probably dying to the Shadow Bolt things they're casting. Um, you might be familiar with this situation, right? Where when you Glacial Spike on one Winter's Chill, you can't Ice Lance after. You should be able to, even if you have an instant proc, you can still instant Frostfire Bolt and have it, go off. But the Glacial Spike will land first. So here, I believe I am going to Ice Lance. I kind of have to, so I can use this and then use that. But we'll see. I didn't, so I just missed a Brain Freeze proc again. You see, it's going to be a bit challenging getting used to all this stuff, really. There's a lot going on. And this is a great time for me to shift power. Not that's too important, but your excess frost thing can actually trigger off any of your flurry spells. So if I shoot flurry and it triggers off of like, oh yeah, this is a little unfortunate. I don't have a blink. Oh wait, no, I blinked in place. Yeah, so you have two charges of shimmer. I tried to blink over here, but I hit this lip. You ready? And boop, I just blinked in place. That's fun. Um, all right, but yeah, I hope that gives you a pretty good idea of how Frostfire is going to play so far. I think it's really, really weird for me testing it without Glacial Spike. Obviously, a lot of things incentivize no Glacial Spike in my mind. More specifically, Spell Slinger, because Spell Slinger, it's like, Glacial Spike back before they added to our mastery, where it just didn't scale with our mastery, or really, and it didn't generate icicles, and icicles are so much more damage that just wasn't worth using. I think that's looking similar in vein to Spellslinger, where you want to be generating splinters and you just don't generate more splinters for the time you cast Glacial Spikes. You might as well just not cast it. Um, but yeah, because obviously our tier set is heavily incentivizing a more Ice Lance focused playstyle. Um, so we'll see. It would be nice if we had more Ice Lance supporting talents in our third gate rather than all the random Frostbolt ones when we really don't Frostbolt very much anymore. Uh, but that's all right. I've been enjoying Frostfire a lot. Spellslinger is questionable, but you'll get a view of that too. So comment down below anything you want to talk about. Have a good day.